Hello, I'm Mario Anderson, and welcome to In Focus Kentucky, where we take a look at issues that matter to you right here in the Bluegrass State, and we'll talk to the lawmakers, community organizers, and people like you who help shape those policies. Today, we're focusing on the economic and fiscal impacts of the wine distillery and craft brewery industries in Kentucky. Did you know that according to the Kentucky Alcoholic Beverage Control, there are nearly 50 craft breweries operating in the state of Kentucky? Recently, the Alltech Craft Brews and Food Fest was held in Lexington, and we stopped by to find out from people who attended that event what it is about craft beer that makes this booming industry very unique. Craft beer lovers packed Lexington's Heritage Hall to take full advantage of the city's largest craft beer festival.
Craft breweries mean a lot to the people, and it's a great event. I mean, I love breweries.
Bill Adams is one of the hundreds who spent part of their day at the Alltech Craft Brews and Food Fest, which featured over 60 local and regional breweries and over 250 beers from all over the world.
And they're so charming. They're usually in an individual, eclectic place. It's just really good. People who work there are usually great people. So
the popularity of craft beers in the Bluegrass State has exploded in recent years, and several people we spoke with say one of the main reasons they enjoy craft beer so much is because the beer is brewed locally instead of by the national mega brewery corporations.
No one likes domestics anymore.
Domestic beer is
besides,
not good.
Besides Budweiser.
This actually has flavor and taste. So you want to get a wide, diverse, different kinds of beer.
And having craft beer is one of those ways that you can support your community. There's the national beers here too, so if you don't know any of the local ones, there are the big ones here. But the local ones, they like to do a lot of experimentals, so that's always really fun to try if you're just kind of wanting to expand your beer profile.
This is the 5th year for the Alltech Craft Brews and Food Fest event in Lexington that also included local musicians and local food vendors, and after this year's successful event, craft beer fans say they are already counting down till next year's big event.
We've been to quite a few around the country, and I just expect them to continue to grow, and I was looking forward to seeing what they come up with next.
Joining me now to talk about new legislation that was signed into law back in April that will soon affect craft breweries in the state of Kentucky is State Representative Adam Koenig of the 69th District, which represents portions of Boone and Kenton counties. Thanks so much for coming in and joining us on In Focus Kentucky.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that House Bill 136 that you sponsored. Walk us through that bill and kind of how you got the idea to want to get this on to the floor.
Well, actually it was brought to me by the industry, the folks representing the craft brewers, the Kentucky Guild of Brewers in Frankfort. They pointed out to me that they'd like to see some changes, specifically the cap on what they can sell to an individual per day, which is 288 ounces. And I was more than happy to work on that and make improvements, because we're trying to take down barriers to business across all industries. And as chairman of Licensing, Occupations, Administrative Regulations, we handle all the alcohol legislation. And I thought it was a great opportunity to allow businesses to have the freedom to do what they can to sell their own product. It just seems like an American ideal that you'd be able to sell as much of your own product in your own place as you can.
Now talk about how this will help microbreweries around the state of Kentucky.
Well, as I mentioned, they can only sell, as of right now, 288 ounces per day per person. This will raise that limit, and my original bill had no limit, so they could sell however much they wanted, as much as someone could take away that day. But we had to compromise a little bit, and they will be able to sell up to 31 gallons, which is 2 kegs, per day per person. So that's pretty close to unlimited. If for some reason you want 4 kegs, you just bring a friend that day or come 2 days in a row. But this provides more opportunities for growth. It provides the opportunity for them to sell directly from their own facility rather than having to go through the process of a distributor and selling it at a retail facility. And that's just the right way to do things. I mean, if you go to any other business, whatever it may be, food or clothing, you can buy as much as you want from them per day, and I don't think beer should be any different. So it opens up a lot of new avenues for them to sell product, and some, like I think the folks you're going to talk to here soon, Maiden City, they're not necessarily big enough to be in the distribution chain, but if somebody wants to buy a case or 2 or 3 or a keg, then you can go straight to their facility, and I think that will really help them out.
And you mentioned growth, so with this new bill that you introduced and now law, do you see that it will encourage maybe other potential businesses to start as a result?
I hope so. Certainly it enables these companies to make some more money, expand their reach, and I think it will actually make everyone more money, because as more people are exposed to these products and they can take it home and share with their friends, I think it will grow the businesses of not just the brewers, but also the wholesalers and the retailers. These are Kentucky businesses. They're small businesses. Some of them are getting big, like Country Boy and Against the Grain, and they're selling to, I think, 20 other states and 12 other countries. But they all started off as small businesses. We have over 50 of these brewers across the state, and they just want to make beer, have a business, make some money, employ some people, and feed their families. And just because it's alcohol, it shouldn't be different than any other business. And because of antiquated laws that come from Prohibition, we've erected over time all these barriers to these alcohol businesses, whether it be bourbon or wine or breweries, keep them from being able to be as successful as they could be. And I'm proud to say that we've been working hard in the Kentucky House to take down these barriers across all businesses, and me in particular, I've been working on this, and the Kentucky Senate has done a great job, and the administration's done a great job of cutting red tape across business, and so that's what we're trying to do.
And talk about being able to work with your fellow legislators on this particular bill, both sides of the aisle, and the feedback that you had received in the House side of things.
Well, it turned out to be a fairly controversial bill. The wholesalers and retailers fought us to some degree, and that's why we had to make the compromise. But it was an easy sell for a lot of people who believe in growing business and don't believe that we in government should be impeding businesses' ability to grow and make money. So honestly, I mean, you can look at the voting results. In the House, it was more partisan than I thought it would be. But the House Republicans made sure it got passed with a few Democrats voting in support. Well, let me back up. The end compromise bill had broad support. The bill to allow them to sell unlimited was more partisan, and that's why we had to make the compromise in part. But yes, it did have broad bipartisan support by the time we got to the compromise, and that's good. We just need to be able to take down more barriers going forward and allow these businesses to grow and flourish.
Now, have there been any state dollars set aside at all to invest in the craft brewery industry in the state of Kentucky?
No, these craft brewers are doing good work and making money without the help of taxpayer dollars, and that's frankly the way it ought to be. Let's let the market decide who's making good beer and who's providing good service. So I'm excited about the future of not just craft brewers, but alcohol in general in Kentucky, the way it's growing. But like I said, there's over 50 craft brewers in the state. Over $600 million economic impact, and I believe that will continue to grow, and it will continue to grow as long as government stays out of the way.
And obviously in the state of Kentucky, bourbon is considered king to some, but do you think this new legislation could help the craft brewery industry kind of rise up near the ranks of bourbon?
Absolutely. We have a lot of good things going on in Kentucky, and the alcohol industry is one of them. You mentioned bourbon, and it is synonymous with Kentucky, and there's others trying to chip away at that across the country, but we've got a lot of successful craft brewers making good products, and I think they will be able to chip away and expand their markets across the country, and hopefully Kentucky's known for a great deal of positive, not just bourbon and horses, but a lot of other things, and hopefully Craft Brewery will be one of those.
Well, Representative Koenig, we really appreciate you joining us here on In Focus Kentucky to talk about the legislation that you were the primary sponsor of, and we're interested to see how the next phase of all this goes coming in the following year.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hey, absolutely. Now, coming up, we sit down with the owners of the Maiden City Brewery in Cynthiana to discuss how their business will be affected by the new state law and why you will find so much more than just a good beer at their brewery.